Hello again, everyone. So in the last video, we talked about how you can have an input which sends information to an output, and then we can display that in the debug window. Something which is also important to know is that we can have multiple inputs going into the same block. So when I say here, this one will do perhaps goodbye rather than hello, both of these can be connected to the same debug. So if I click deploy now, that will save everything. And so if I click here, this will send hello to the debug window. Whereas if I click here, this will send goodbye to the debug window. And there's similarly no restriction on how many things that we can connect going out and into something. So if I wanted to maybe make this, rather than the debug window, we can pull up the system console instead, perhaps. So this is a little bit different. Both of these can come over here. So now, regardless of whether or not I press hello or goodbye, they'd both send out and hit this block, and then they'd also send out and hit that block. So whenever something comes out of this output, it gets sent to everything that's connected to it. And similarly down here, whenever we hit goodbye, it would come out and hit both the debug one and the command line one. So I'll just demonstrate what that looks like. I'll pull this over on the left-hand side. I'll pull this on the right-hand side, maybe shift that a little so that we can see here. And if we deploy, then you can see it's stopped and started each time that I've paused and deployed it and everything. So if I click hello, then that's being sent down here, and it's also being sent over here. And similarly, if I click goodbye, it's getting sent to both of them. So let's say that when I say goodbye, I only want it to come out of this window and not this one. I can just remove this connection. So I click on it and hit delete. And now if I deploy again, when I click hello, it will get sent to both blocks over here. And as you can see, it's sent out to here and here. When I click goodbye, it's only getting sent out to this window. It's not getting sent out to the other one. So any information that's coming out of here is going to go to the ones that, correspond to it. So we're essentially unlimited in how many things can come out of or into something. Another option for these input blocks is to inject it multiple times. So we can say when we click inject, rather than injecting immediately, we could wait 2 seconds. So if I do this and hit deploy, keep your eye over here because it's going to come out here. Then after building it, we've just got sort of that short delay after 2 seconds. So this is not a delay after we press the button, it's a delay after it starts. So anytime that Node-RED is running, this will start running as well. We can also add repeats to these, so we can have an interval or something. So we could say, let's output goodbye every second. And if we save this and deploy it, then we're going to see here, goodbye, 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 over and over and over again. And then if I say hello, that will get pushed as well. So let's remove that repeat. You can also do repeats at specific times. So let's say that you only wanted it to happen at 12 o'clock or at certain points in times on certain days. This is a good way of doing home automation at specific points in time. Let me just deploy this so that this loop stops. So rather than having both of these, we'll go back to just using the debug window in Node-RED. So we have a single output and we have multiple inputs. There are a few different things that we can do here. So one thing that we can do is do a time delay, which is going to introduce some delay between it getting its input on the left and sending it out on the right. So let's say that I have hello going directly to the payload, but then goodbye goes to the delay of 5 seconds and then goes to the debug window here. So I will remove the repeat here and just go done. And then if we go deploy, you'll see if I click hello, it's immediately pushing this out down here. I'll clear this, this can be cleared by clicking that button there. So if I click hello, it immediately gets pushed out. Whereas if I click goodbye, so it takes several seconds before it gets through. And the reason for that is the information's getting pushed out of here, and then this is holding it for 5 seconds, and then it's pushing it out through here. So this is one way that we can control the time at which information flows through here. Something else that we can do is change where messages go depending on their properties. So let's say that we wanted to only let through hello messages and get rid of goodbye messages. So one way of doing this is using the switch block. So if we click here, this is switching according to the payload property, which is exactly what we want. And if we say hello here, and then there's another one goodbye, and then there's another one, let's say this can be anything else. So our input is going to come in from the left, and then we're going to see, does that match hello? If it does, then we'll output on number 1. If not, then we'll check, does it match goodbye? If it does, we'll output on number 2. And then if it doesn't match either of those, it will output on number 3. So as you can see, until we click done, this only has 1 on the left and 1 on the right, but when I click done, it now has 3. If you mouse over any of these, you can see which one it is. So if a hello comes in, it will come out the top, a goodbye will come out the middle, and anything else is going to come out the bottom. So rather than doing time-based things here, we're going to do information-based changing of characteristics. So let's say that we have hello and goodbye both coming into here, and then we connected just the hello output. So what this is going to do is, depending on what the input is, it might push it out to here if it says hello, or here if it says goodbye. So if we deploy this, even though they're both coming into the switch block, and even though the switch block is coming out as the debug string, when we click hello, that's going to come out instantly, but when we click goodbye, it's not going to be able to. And that's because every time that we click goodbye here, it's actually coming out on this pin. So if I delete that and click over here and click deploy again, I can hit hello and nothing will happen. But now when I hit goodbye, that's coming out and being recorded by this. And of course there's the otherwise condition, which is only going to fire when it's neither hello or goodbye. And so no matter how many times we inject either of these, nothing will happen. Whereas if I include a timestamp now, since a timestamp is not hello or goodbye, once I deploy it, hello will do nothing, goodbye will do nothing, but timestamp will flow through immediately. So that's one way that you can switch. It's basically an if condition, if you're familiar with other programming languages. So that will be all for this particular video. And in the next video, we're going to talk about some more complex flows that you can implement.